Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we are specifically going to talk about Darrington Press. Actually, okay, I'm sorry. I said Darrington Press like anyone in the world gives two farts for Darrington Press or cares what Darrington Press is. No one cares what Darrington Press is. Nobody knows what Darrington Press is. Critical Role's new fantasy long campaign system that is coming out from Critical Role. Absolutely no one cares about Darrington Press, right? Like, it's simply the imprint that publishes all of Critical Role's lesser books that aren't published by Dungeons and Dragons, right? Because Critical Role, like, there are, if you want Critical Role books, where do you go? Hasbro or Darrington Press, which Critical Role literally owns, and I would bet, man, a dolak to a donut, man, that it is that Hasbro outsells Darrington Press's own Critical Role material by factors, by like 10 times, right? Like, so what do you think? Explorer's Guide to Wildemount is a D&D canon hardback. Critical Role, Matthew Mercer D&D canon hardback, right? And then you got, the Exandria book that they put out. Who knows what that nonsense is, right? And now they have a new fantasy tabletop role-playing game coming out from Darrington Press. Nobody cares. They have it coming out from Critical Role, and boy, do people care about a new fantasy tabletop role-playing game from Critical Role. They care a lot, right? They care a whole lot about a brand new fantasy game coming out from Critical Role. That people care about, and they care, and I mean they care a lot, right? Like, it's very significant. So basically you have this situation, and it's really, so let's talk about this new game that's coming out from Critical Role, because one, we got to get the facts right, because right now there is a narrative that's being built by people who are invested in Critical Role defeating Dungeons and Dragons, right? And this narrative it's quite literally, in my humble opinion, false, right? And it's very purposely being painted as a picture to paint a picture that doesn't exist, right? And I get why they're doing it. They're trying to manifest a reality. And I will tell you right now, you best recognize, man, this stuff that's getting talked about on YouTube and Twitter, it's real. We do manifest reality here, right? There's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of prescience, there's a lot of prediction, and a lot of this stuff does become reality, right? So let's get in. Let's talk about DaggerHeart, okay? So first of all, this was announced. Critical Role is creating a new fantasy tabletop role-playing game for long campaign play, and its name is DaggerHeart, and that is literally everything we know. Okay, that's all that's been announced, right? There is zero promise that this Critical Role product will even have any Critical Role designer on it. Oh, do you want a game do you want some tabletop role-playing game content that's created by Critical Role, and that is actually created by Critical Role, and have Matthew Mercer on it, which is exactly what you wanted? You don't want some scrub designer you've never heard their name on before? You're not going to get it through Darrington Press. Apparently, Darrington Press can't get a hold of Matthew Mercer to do some work for them. Only Hasbro can. Hey, Matt, this is the guys over at Darrington Press. Could you write a book for us? No. Well, you kind of own our company. Could you write a book for us? I know I have another book due for Hasbro. Who are you guys again? I think I sign your paychecks, but I don't know your name. Right? It's weird. It is getting weird, right? And so this DaggerHeart tabletop role-playing game is a nothing burger, right? Like, it's not even designed, in my humble opinion, even to remotely compete with Dungeons & Dragons, right? What's competing with Dungeons & Dragons? Blood and Doom, right? Blood and Doom's brand new. It's an indie game, not an OSR game, right? It made that choice, right, to say, because I think Blood and Doom could have been crafted. All you would have needed to do for Blood and Doom is just take out all the awesome color art, right, and flip it to black and white art, and slap an OSR, slap 3 letters on the title, and you could get it to be considered an OSR product. But Ferruccio Tebaldi, through the creator of it, through Dice Tale Games, is like, no, man, I don't want to own the problems. I think he made a very conscious decision to not own the problems of the OSR, right? Also, he might not want to be subject to the OSR king, who is Kelsey Dion at this point, because she's done it through merit. She's delivered the greatest product OSR has ever created, and $1 million Kickstarter, which no other OSR product has ever done, even remotely. So Blood and Doom's coming out as an actual real competitor to D&D, and it's got blockbuster like styling, right? DaggerHeart is art house, right? This is, A24 knows like none of its products are ever going to be like a billion. A24 knows it's never going to make $1 billion movie, right? It's art house, right? And that's what's happening here. Critical Role and Matthew Mercer want to keep people excited that they're a possible competitor for Dungeons & Dragons, but they're not. They're not. Matthew Mercer is a horse in Hasbro's stable, right? And they take him out and ride him whenever they want for any kind of a new D&D canon hardback, and it works great for everybody, right? Like Matthew Mercer gets to flex his actual creative and writing skills. Absolutely no one on Critical Role other than Matthew Mercer has any ability to write a book. I'm not sure any of them have the willingness to read the PHP. I'm not kidding. It is my hard supposition that no one on Critical Role other than Matthew Mercer has ever even read the PHP, right? That's their level of commitment to the game. And so this DaggerHeart is it's an art house niche tabletop role-playing game that has zero, like even the title should tell you there's no intention of ever competing with Dungeons & Dragons, and there will be no one actually connected to Critical Role, right? Like, first of all, no one but Matthew Mercer has any ability to write a tabletop role-playing game book. I'm not sure they could actually even they all can read. I'm not contesting that, but I don't think they have the willingness. This is a huge problem in Hollywood. Like, stars don't read scripts, right? Like, and I think these stars are like, I'm not reading the PHP, whatever. Like, we'll get through it, right? We'll fake it till you make it. Like, if I just do another funny voice, I don't need to read the PHP, right? Like, so the idea that DaggerHeart has any possibility of even remotely competing with Dungeons & Dragons is outrageously ludicrous. Now let's talk about, I need a hero. I need a hero till the break of dawn. And he's got to be fast, and he's got to be right, and he's got to know right from wrong. I know I massacred those lyrics, but go check out the character sheet from comicbook.com's coverage of DaggerHeart, and you will see the most try-hard, this is a competitor for Dungeons & Dragons. Like, it's so ludicrous, right? They literally made 3 fake covers for the book, and they don't say it so that if you're just listening, you'll think, right? Like, it's outrageous. It was outrageous, right? If you're not looking very carefully, you'll see these covers, 3 different covers, right? And they're like, oh, this is on Kickstarter. It's a concept. It's an inception and has no connection to anyone actually in tabletop, in Critical Role, right? And they're making fake covers for it. And if you look on the video, they're even saying, hey, we just made these fake covers just because we needed B-roll. That's like, we are in a serious problem, right? There is serious stuff that needs to be actually covered for Dungeons & Dragons. And this is abominable because there's no journalistic ethics, right? Like, you can't be making fake covers for books that don't exist, right? But there's such a strong demand for Critical Role, and this is the issue. Outside, so you have D&D, and then you have 2 other segments within the tabletop role-playing game, sphere, right? And these 2 other segments are so desperate for anybody to champion against Dungeons & Dragons that they're literally propping it up. And quite literally, making content that's just simply not true. I don't need to pretend it's not true. They literally said these are fake covers. Like, they're like, we're just building up a story that's not real, right? Like, and we desperately need journalistic integrity and ethics, and no one covering D&D is even willing to say they're a journalist. So we are in bed. This is deep, right? So DaggerHeart is a laughable joke that will never, ever, when considered in the context of competing with Dungeons & Dragons. What it's not a laughable joke is it could be like an A24 movie, like this lighthearted, not even a lighthearted, a very serious niche tabletop role-playing game that will make 4 people in the world very happy, but not 4 million, right? This is not a competitive. This is absolutely 100% not a competitor to Dungeons & Dragons. If you want to see a real competitor to Dungeons & Dragons, right now you got 2 places to go, right? OSR has Shadow Dark, and Indie right now, their main champion out the gate right now as a real competitor to Dungeons & Dragons is Blood and Doom, in my humble opinion. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to see your humble opinion in the comments below when you send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing.